to episode 18 of Sweet Tea and Thread. We are a knitting, crochet, sewing podcast, and I am Shai.
And I'm Bethany. Thank you so much for any returning viewers. And if you're new, welcome to the podcast. We hope you enjoy. If you like the podcast, you can leave us a like down below or a comment in the comment section, and consider subscribing just so that you can get notifications whenever we upload a new video.
Right. And as you can see, we're still social distancing between Alabama and Tennessee. And maybe we ought to be called the Alabama-Tennessee line. Like Mason-Dixon.
Yeah.
Take a cue from them. But the store has opened back up for customers, and things are starting to open up more all over, especially in our area. So we'll just have to see how that goes. We've still been doing some phone orders and curbside pickup, but also people are welcome to come into the store and visit with us. So,
yep. So that's kind of, I think, thrown a little bit of a loop in the amount of stuff I'm able to finish. And
right.
Because I've been going into work, and I've actually been going in like an extra day out of the week. So, but I mean, I've been able to work on a little bit, not much.
Exactly. Yeah. We've been most everybody, or quite a few people, have been going in anyway, because we've been doing inventory and trying to get everything ready to go online, to have an online presence for the store. So that's been real interesting. We're just about finished, so it shouldn't be too long before we're ready to launch that. And we're all real excited about it.
Yeah, cross your fingers it's soon. I think we're all tired of doing the whole inventory and like putting, because you have to sit there and you have to count everything. And if you think about the amount of stuff in that store,
right,
you don't realize how much you have until you do inventory.
Yeah.
So, and I did most of the yarn, which actually went pretty quickly. I did all the thread, which.
Yeah, that DMC was.
And the DMC, we have a huge tower of DMC. So literally when anybody comes in the store to buy DMC, because we don't have like a POS system linked up with the web store yet, I'm literally like, write down what color number it is. Right.
Right.
Tabs.
We have to be taking better notes.
Yeah. Been like, I gotta go take that off of the inventory.
Yeah, because we do handwritten notes or handwritten tickets for the store, and I guess that's going to change. We really hadn't explored how that's going to go with this new system that we're changing to. So anyway, it'll be interesting till we get it figured out.
Yeah.
But I guess we can go ahead and start with some finished objects. And my finished object, dishcloths.
A big stack of
them. Do what?
I said a big stack of them.
Yeah, a pretty good stack of them. I mean, y'all, I have a tub in my stash that's, what would you say, like a 24 by 16 by maybe 14 inches deep of kitchen cotton, like Line Brand kitchen cotton, sugar and cream, peaches and cream. I mean, and that's what I do for use for dishcloths, because it's a rougher cotton and it's really good for that. And I give these to my sisters-in-law, expect them as part of their Christmas gift. I add them to a hostess gift. And they're just a good little thing to have on hand to, I bundle them up by threes and tie a little bow around them. And they seem to enjoy them. At least they tell me they do. So I continue to make them up and give them to friends and that sort of thing. But I've also made a few out of some Mirosal. And these are a little bit smaller. They're still, I do mine. It's just the Granny's favorite dishcloth, basically, is the pattern. And, you know, you start at one corner and go to the other. But the Mirosal is a softer cotton. And I decided to do up some. I have a friend that's having a birthday and we exchange gifts, go out to lunch with each other and that kind of thing on each of our birthdays. But I decided to do a few for her out of the Mirosal cotton for face cloths. It won't be quite as rough, but it'll still have kind of an exfoliating because of the garter stitch fabric. And what I was going to say a minute ago is the Granny's favorite dishcloth, or it's also on a ball band. Calls for you to knit till you have 50 stitches on the needle. I only do 40, and I do these in the kitchen cotton on a size 9 needle, but I did these in the Mirosal on a size 8. So it knitted up just a little bit smaller, but I think it's a very nice size for a face washcloth. So, but the Mirosal cotton is a really nice cotton. We've done several things out of them, and it's made up those little dishcloths or face cloths really nicely. So, and then another finished object, I've been working on face masks. And I'm in the middle of finishing up some for my sister. But I've just been making them for family for the most part. But that's what I've been doing. Comfort knitting. There's been several shows that I've been real interested in. Dead to Me came out with their 2nd season. Ozark with their 3rd season. Somebody was talking about a show called Outer Banks, so I thought I'd check that out. So I just binged it. And these are shows that I want to watch. You know, some things you can knit stuff and you can just listen to, but there was a lot of action going on. And so, you know, you'd have to run it back. So who did that?
Yeah.
So the dishcloths are a great thing to knit while you're wanting to, you know, to actually pay attention to something. Yeah. So there you go. It works really well. There's been during this pandemic, there's been some good stuff come on all those networks and stuff to sit and knit something simple too.
Yeah. I haven't been doing very much knitting because I've been working, and
right.
Then also just, I don't know, I get home some days and I just don't want to pick up my knitting needles, which is kind of, you go through phases. Like, I definitely go through phases where I have to knit pretty much every day. And then there are some times when I'm like, I pick them up and maybe I knit 1 or 2 stitches and I'm like, I can't.
Right. I know.
But I was able to make another hat. So this is my finished object. Oh gosh, what is this? Is the Simple Pleasures hat, I believe. We'll make sure to put a title card.
Yeah, it's a Purl Soho pattern, right?
It is. It's a Purl Soho pattern. This is actually an older pattern of theirs, and they re-released it with a new type of yarn. So I'm not sure how comparable like the older pattern is compared to the newer one. But basically what you do is you have a fingering weight yarn that you hold double with mohair, which I love a good mohair project.
Oh, yeah. It feels yummy because I saw it at the shop the other day when we were there.
And then I took it home because we had to show it on the podcast. But I made the largest size. It does come in a couple of different sizes, but this one is the adult large. The way this pattern is written, it has a really like long brim, and you're holding the fingering weight double with itself for the brim. which is why the color is a little bit different. This was the fingering weight Urth Harvest fingering. Is that what it's called? I think it's the Harvest fingering.
Yes.
But so it's held double with itself, and then up here we decided to go with an orange mohair, so you can kind of see how it, you know, gives that cast of orange. But this is Adriafil Kidseta, and it pairs up really nicely with it. So once you knit the brim with the fingering weight held double with itself, you drop a strand of it and you pick up a strand of mohair to hold with the fingering weight to do the body of the hat. So it's a fairly straightforward and simple pattern. It is big, so it fits over my little half ponytail. Mm-hmm. I followed the instructions exactly. At first, I thought I was going to have to shorten the actual, like the body of the hat, because I thought that I was running out of the fingering weight. I had plenty of mohair, but I thought I was going to run out of the fingering weight. I didn't. I just kept going because I thought, you know what? If I'm going to play a game of yarn chicken, I'm going to play a game of yarn chicken.
Go for it. Yeah.
So anyway, I kept going. I had enough. I have a little bit left over. It may be, it may be only like 10 grams worth of the fingering weight, but that just goes to show you how far it can go. This is a really large hat, you know, it's double here and then held with something else here. And so it, you know, shows you how much yardage you can get out of a fingering weight. But it's really super soft, and it has that beautiful just buzz. Mm-hmm. I just want to sit here and pet it.
I don't blame you.
That's the only finished object I have, though.
Yeah. Well, you've had several other things that you're working on that they're just, you know, taking some time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, all right, then I guess we're ready to move into what's on our needles. And I've been working on Casapinka's Breathe and Hope shawl.
That's looking really good.
Yeah. And I wanted a real subtle color change. Some of the people that are doing this are doing more dramatic, but I wanted to keep it, you know, kind of soft and subtle. And I showed y'all last time what I was going to make it out of. Guess what? I started it, didn't like it, changed it, and went to this Harvest cream from Urth Yarns, and then I forgot what the name is, the Hedgehog Fibres skinny singles.
It's Monarch.
Monarch? Yeah, they're Monarch. Okay. Yeah. And
there are certain Hedgehog Fibres colors I haven't memorized because I love them.
Mm-hmm. But my other colorway that I had chosen, the which is actually what Bethany ended up making the hat out of, it just was too tan for the look that I was trying to go for.
Yeah, so hold up the cream so they can see.
Yeah.
That's a lot lighter.
Mm-hmm.
This just was just too dark, and she tried a couple of rows and sent me a picture, and I was like,
yeah,
it didn't show off the color variation at all.
Yeah, it didn't. So I took my other variegated, which was poppy, and put it with this. There's so much white or cream in the poppy, it was the same color as this. That was too subtle. So there wasn't, you know, you just saw a little speck every now and again. When I got to the striping part, I realized that it wasn't enough contrast. to make the striping part worthwhile, which is this part right here.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought I was going to change to a darker solid or something, and after consulting with Bethany, I ended up changing my variegated. So so a whole new colorway. I got this done to the first striping section. This is my third go, from that point. But I'm real pleased with it. It's we're UT fans, so this is turning out to be kind of a UT orange, acceptable without screaming, look at me, I'm for UT.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. But it's a fun knit. It's got several sections, and they're a little bit different stitch configuration, and I think it's been a lot of fun. We're doing this as a knit along, and it's not too late to pick up a kit and knit your own Breathe and Hope shawl from Casapinka. And anyone that's interested, if you buy a kit for this shawl, Thread will purchase the pattern for you, because it started out as a free pattern, but it's no longer free. So, we can include that in your kit for you, and purchase it in your name through Ravelry is where it's available. So anyway, if you're interested in knitting one of these, like I said, it's a lot of fun, and we'll be glad to put that kit together for you. We're getting ready to run another post. We put together a few other colorways since our last post about the Breathe and Hope shawl.
Yep.
And that's what I have on the needles right now.
Okay. Well, I'll talk about my knitting, because I have knitting and I have sewing today. But
Okay.
My knitting project that's still on my needles needs to come off my needles. It's getting big. Is the Dotted Rays by Stephen West.
Yeah.
This thing is huge.
It sure is.
So I am making the larger size, and I've, like I said in the last podcast or the one before, I don't remember, but I have added the second skein of yarn in here. So I'm working on the second skein, and it's gotten to be about this big. It's getting smaller.
It is.
This is Big Sky yarn. It's a hand-dyed yarn, and this is their Star Sock base, and the color is Bliss. So honestly, you can't really tell where I've added that second skein, which I think is really nice, because I did not alternate skeins. A lot of people will say with hand-dyed yarns, no matter if they are done in the same batch or not, and I know this from experience of dyeing yarn too, but even if it's in the same batch, the color will be slightly different depending on how much dye the yarn will take on. So you typically want to alternate every couple of rows with a hand-dyed yarn, especially if you're doing like a sweater. But I thought because it was a shawl, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. I did the same thing with the Bella shawl that I knit with Big Sky's DK yarn, and it turned out pretty good, I thought. So I am on, I think after I finish this section that I'm working on, there's 2 more and I'm finished. Like I bind off and I'm done. So let's hope this yarn holds out. I can go ahead and skip to the finishing instructions if I can only do, like, say, 1 more section. Mm-hmm. That's an option. The pattern is, very adaptable in that matter. So I'm just kind of seeing how it goes. But this has been what I've been working on the most because it's garter stitch. And so it's pretty straightforward for me to just work on this if I'm watching something. So that's my knitting project on my needles. I haven't really worked on anything else except for the hat.
Right. All right. And you said you had sewing, so we might as well tell us about that.
Yeah, so I'm making another pair of Marett pants. I've talked about them before in a previous podcast. I made a pair out of kind of like an espresso brown linen. I loved them so much that I wanted to make another pair, but make a black pair because I wouldn't say like my wardrobe's like 90% black, but I do have a lot of black pieces that I like to wear. A lot of darker charcoal colors like the cardigan I have on, which I didn't make, by the way. This is store-bought. But so I decided I wanted to make a black pair. And this time I wanted to add the pockets in there just because I was like, you know what? I made them last time. I didn't add pockets. I kind of regret that decision. I'm going to add pockets. They're pretty much done. I am working on the waistband right now, and I'm actually having to take out, this is the inner waistband. So this would fold down and be stitched and cover, you know, this part of the waistband. So I'm at that part. I'm having to take it out because I think I inserted it upside down.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, it wasn't really working, but they are huge, like big flowy legs. But look, I have pockets.
Yes.
There's pleats down the front of it. If you go to our previous podcast, we have a picture of me wearing my other pair that you can see. And hopefully once I get this pair done, I might do an Instagram post like side by side showing both pair. But I did insert the pockets. I'm working on the waistband. The invisible zipper is in. It is beautiful. I love invisible zippers.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of people don't like to insert like zippers, buttonholes, things like that. And I will say I've done a few. Invisible zippers are probably the easiest, especially if you have the invisible zipper foot. It's such a breeze to insert. You don't realize how, and like it finishes it off so well. Like you can't even hardly.
Right.
So, yeah, I got to fix the waistband, hem them, and I think I have to put a hook and eye just at the top up here to kind of have an extra little closure where the zipper doesn't, go all the way up. But other than that, my pants are basically done. I really want to wear them. This is made out of black Brussels washer, which is, if I can talk, it's a linen rayon blend. So it's very lightweight. I have a couple other pieces. I have 3 or 4 pieces made out of the same fabric in black. And then, of course, my last pair of these pants were made in the same material. So I love this material. This is kind of like my go-to for a project. And I kind of can't wait to wear these. Like, I really just ought to go downstairs and finish them today. But I probably won't.
Yeah, we all love that Brussels washer. It wears really well.
It washes really well too. Like the more you wash it, the softer it gets.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really comfortable. Like I'm going to wear these pants in the summertime. And granted, it gets really hot in the summertime down here. Like we not only have heat, but we have humidity to battle. But because of the type of material it is, even though it's a black pair of pants, I know that I will be comfortable in them.
Yeah, because it's a very breathable fabric. So, all righty. Well, I think we've covered everything for today. What do you think?
Yeah, I wish we had more.
I know. Maybe next time.
You know how
But
people are talking about how they're so productive in quarantine and, you know, all of this that's going on. They're staying at home. They're getting stuff done. I'm like, what have you been drinking? What are you taking? Like, how? Because I feel like at first I was like, oh, I have all this time. I can get some stuff done. Like, I'm really super excited. The longer it has gone on, the more I'm just like, yeah, I'm going to lay in bed all day, watch something. I mean,
yeah,
it's like I don't want to do anything.
I saw a meme sometime during all this that was something to the effect of this quarantine has shown me that all that thinking I didn't have time to clean the house, I found out that's not true. So, we've had all this time, and some people I know that I don't know where they get their energy, but they've, done spring cleaning, cleaned out drawers, cleaned out closets, and all that kind of stuff. I've just sat and knitted dishcloths and watched these shows that I was talking about earlier. Plus, some of my favorite podcasters have been doing their podcast once a week, and it gets hard to keep up with all of them and stay up to date. And you want to watch those, when you're showing knitted objects or crocheted objects or sewing objects, you have to watch it. You can't just really listen because you want to see what it is and you don't want to miss it. So again, I'm knitting dishcloths while I'm watching those too. So, but hey, that's okay.
Well, real quick, tell us like your top 3 favorite podcasts so people know.
I have really enjoyed, of course, the Grocery Girls.
And they've been doing a lot of live podcasts.
They've been doing a lot of live.
If you ever catch those, they're fun.
Yes, they are.
The chat section is so much fun.
Yeah. And then I enjoy the Best Craft Day Ever with Arthella and Trisha. They are beautiful makers. They also knit, crochet, sew, and share all those things. I have really enjoyed their podcast. And then a fairly new one is the Knitting Posse. They're in Connecticut, and they're 4 women that are knitting. And there might be some crochet every once in a while, but primarily knitting. And again, they're beautiful makers. They do a lot of sweater knitting. So it's been real interesting. They're the ones that inspired me on the Kuri shawl, which when you were talking about the color change on that, I did that Kuri shawl in Malabrigo, and I didn't alternate the skeins, and I don't think it's obvious where where I went from one skein to the next skein either. So, but so those are my top 3. How about you?
I've been trying to catch the Grocery Girls. They were one of the first podcasts I actually ever watched.
Right.
And I pretty much saw them from the beginning. So I love them to death. I don't always get to sit for the 2 hours that they podcast and watch everything. It's kind of hard. I do have to kind of break it up. Espace Tricot released a podcast recently, and I wish they were able to do more because I just like their whole aesthetic, what they knit, the colors that they choose for themselves, for their shop. Like, it is absolutely gorgeous.
Yes.
Can I be them when I grow up?
Right. Yeah, they're one of my very favorites too.
And then the other one, I guess, would probably be Legacy Knits. I love Sue and Chelsea. They haven't been able to do a lot of podcasting lately because Chelsea recently had her second little girl. And so she's been a busy mom of two, but the last time they put out a podcast, I sat there and I watched the whole thing, like from start to finish, took no breaks, you know. And usually if a podcast is a little over an hour, I will have to break it up. But I love seeing what they're doing because they have a yarn dyeing business. So Sue will dye a lot of yarn for Legacy Fiber Arts. That's their business. And so just to see kind of what they knit with their yarn is interesting. But they're also not just limited to their yarn. They also knit a lot with, you know, other people's yarn. And I don't know, I like a lot of their colors, their pattern choices. And Sue does stitching as well. And I don't know that I'll ever do any kind of cross stitch like she does, but just to see the things that she's working on, like the talent is just like, I'm like, more power to you, honey. It's beautiful. She's been doing a lot of kind of like tone on tone stitching lately. So it's not using a bunch of different colored threads. It's using like a white on maybe like a white linen or kind of an off-white linen, and it looks really beautiful. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, those are kind of the ones I've enjoyed. But
okay. Well, I am having tea today. I am having my Earl Grey with the Citrus Lavendar Sage from Teavana. The Earl Grey is from, I want to say Marzano's, but that's not quite right. But it's very similar to that. We'll link it in the. It's a very nice Earl Grey. It's kind of strong, but I just have a few more cups of that with the Citrus Lavendar Sage. That's almost gone. But yeah, that was what I was in the mood for today. So how about you?
I do have tea today. I'll show you my little tag. I don't know. Do you say this Pukka? I assume that you're going to like call this Pukka tea. I don't know. But it's their lemon, ginger, and manuka honey. Mm-hmm. So I'm drinking this as is, no sweetener, no milk, no nothing, because it is so good.
Mm-hmm. I think you've told me about that one before. Is it one that you got at Publix?
Yes.
Yeah. And I haven't been, since you told me about it, I haven't been into a Publix to check and see if they have that, but it sounds really good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I may look it up online and see if we can link, if they have anything online that we can link for this as well.
Okay. Yeah.
But I don't know. I didn't really feel like a black tea today. And right. I just was like, sounds good. It's good for me. Might as well drink it.
Exactly. All righty. Well, I think that's it for us today then. And we thank you for joining us. And you have a good rest of the day. Bye-bye.
Bye.